In 1990s Chicago, Clara and Michael built a love that seemed unbreakable, founded on radical honesty. But what happens when a small lie, born of panic and ambition, becomes the crack that shatters the foundations of trust? Is it possible for a seemingly insignificant act to destroy such a profound connection and leave a void that even time cannot fill? Get ready for a story that will make you reflect on the true cost of truth and the irreversible consequences of dishonesty in the most cherished relationships. Hello, my name is Clara, and the echo of a single, seemingly trivial untruth still reverberates through the quiet corridors of my memory. It was a lie born of a moment's panic, a fleeting desire to avoid discomfort, yet it became the chisel that carved a chasm through the bedrock of my most cherished relationship. I was 25 then, brimming with the vibrant optimism of youth, navigating the bustling streets of Chicago in the early 1990s. The city was a mosaic of ambition and dreams, its skyline a testament to human endeavor, and its diverse neighborhoods pulsing with life. It was a time of rapid technological advancement, a burgeoning digital age, yet personal connections still held a profound, almost sacred weight. My small loft apartment in the West Loop, with its exposed brick and large industrial windows, was my sanctuary, a canvas for my burgeoning career as a graphic designer. It was here, amidst the scent of fresh paint and late-night coffee, that I shared my life with Michael. He was a jazz musician, a man whose fingers danced across piano keys with a soulful grace, and whose eyes held a depth that always seemed to understand my unspoken thoughts. Our love story wasn't a whirlwind romance, but a melody that built slowly, note by note, into a beautiful, complex harmony. We met at a small, smoky jazz club in Uptown, a place where the music flowed as freely as the whiskey. Michael was on stage, lost in a solo, his passion palpable, and I, lost in the audience, found myself drawn into his world. After his set, we talked for hours, the clinking of glasses and hushed conversations fading into the background as we discovered a shared universe of art, dreams, and quiet aspirations. That night, under the neon glow of the city, I felt a connection that transcended words. Our early days were a symphony of shared moments and whispered dreams. We explored the city's hidden gems, from the vibrant art installations in Millennium Park to the quiet, tree-lined streets of Lincoln Park. The rhythm of Chicago became the soundtrack to our blossoming love, each street corner holding a memory, each park bench a silent witness to our growing affection. We'd spend Sundays at the Art Institute, discussing the brushstrokes of masterpieces, or lose ourselves in the labyrinthine aisles of dusty old bookstores, searching for forgotten treasures. Michael taught me to listen, not just to music, but to the subtle cadences of life, to find beauty in the dissonance as well as the harmony. He was my anchor, my confidant, the one person with whom I felt entirely, unapologetically myself. We built a life together, piece by piece, in that West Loop loft, filling it with the soulful strains of jazz, the vibrant hues of my art, and the comforting quiet of shared understanding. Our love was a carefully constructed edifice, built on mutual respect, unwavering support, and most importantly, absolute trust. We believed in radical honesty, in laying bare our souls, in the conviction that no truth, however uncomfortable, could ever be as damaging as a lie. Or so I believed. It was the winter of 1993, a particularly harsh Chicago winter, when the first hairline fracture appeared in our seemingly unbreakable bond. The city was blanketed in snow, its usual hustle muted by the biting cold, and a sense of quiet introspection settled over everything. Michael had been invited to audition for a prestigious jazz ensemble in New Orleans, a life-changing opportunity that promised to elevate his career to new heights. It was a dream he had nurtured for years, a chance to immerse himself in the birthplace of jazz, to play with legends. I was ecstatic for him, my heart swelling with pride, but a cold tendril of fear snaked around my own aspirations. My graphic design studio was finally gaining traction, securing significant clients, and the thought of uprooting my life, even temporarily, for a long-distance relationship felt like a terrifying gamble. I had just landed a major contract with a national advertising agency, a project that demanded my full attention and presence in Chicago for the foreseeable future. It was a pivotal moment for my career, a chance to establish myself as a serious player in a competitive industry. Michael, with his characteristic generosity, encouraged me to pursue my ambition, to seize the opportunity. We discussed the logistics, the challenges of distance, the commitment required to keep our love alive across states. We promised daily calls, weekly letters, and frequent visits, vowing that our bond was strong enough to withstand any geographical divide. It was a hopeful, yet tearful, goodbye at O'Hare, his silhouette disappearing into the terminal, leaving behind a loft that suddenly felt cavernous, echoing with an unfamiliar silence. The first few weeks were a blur of intense work and gnawing loneliness. I threw myself into the advertising campaign, spending endless hours at the agency, sketching designs, collaborating with clients, trying to make a name for myself. The pace was relentless, the demands exhilarating, and I found a perverse comfort in the sheer exhaustion that followed each long day. It was during one of these late nights, in early February, that a colleague, a charming and ambitious art director named Julian, invited me to an exclusive industry event. It was a private gala, a networking opportunity with some of the biggest names in the design world, a chance to showcase my talent and expand my professional circle. The catch? It was on a Saturday night, the very evening Michael and I had scheduled our weekly video call. A small lie, I rationalized. A white lie to avoid disappointing him, to spare him the feeling of being secondary to my career. I could simply tell him I had a last-minute deadline, that I'd call him first thing Sunday morning. It felt justifiable, a minor deception for a potentially significant professional advancement. The gala was everything I had imagined, glittering, sophisticated, a whirlwind of influential conversations and promising connections. I felt a surge of professional validation, a sense of belonging in a world I had long admired. I returned to the loft late that night, exhilarated and exhausted, a faint tremor of guilt stirring beneath my triumph. I called Michael the moment I woke up on Sunday, my heart aflutter with a mix of excitement and a growing unease. I recounted the details of my week, the successes, the challenges, carefully omitting any mention of the gala or Julian. He listened patiently, his voice warm and loving, expressing his pride in my accomplishments, and I felt a fresh wave of shame wash over me. The lie, however, was a persistent shadow, a subtle discord in the symphony of our love. It resurfaced unexpectedly, months later, in the spring of 1994, during a casual dinner with Julian and his partner. The conversation drifted to past industry events, and Julian, with a jovial laugh, brought up the gala, praising my sharp insights and the connections I had made. He mentioned the exact date, the exclusivity, the unforgettable evening. A cold dread washed over me. I saw Michael's eyes narrow, a flicker of confusion, then a dawning realization. The air in the restaurant suddenly felt heavy, suffocating. I tried to interject, to steer the conversation away, but it was too late. The truth, raw and unvarnished, hung between us, a stark contrast to the carefully constructed narrative I had presented. The drive home was silent, punctuated only by the hum of the engine and the frantic beating of my heart. The vibrant spring evening, usually a source of comfort, now felt oppressive, judgmental. Back in our loft, the silence stretched, thick and suffocating, until Michael finally spoke, his voice low, laced with a pain that cut deeper than any anger. "Why, Clara?" he asked, his gaze unwavering, searching my eyes for an answer I didn't have. "Why couldn't you just tell me the truth?" I stammered, offering weak excuses, trying to explain the fear, the ambition, the misguided attempt to protect him. But my words felt hollow, inadequate, unable to bridge the chasm that had suddenly opened between us. His trust, once an unshakable foundation, now lay shattered, fragments scattered across the floor of our shared life. The days that followed were a blur of strained conversations, unspoken accusations, and a suffocating sense of regret. The laughter that once filled our loft was replaced by an eerie quiet, broken only by the occasional sigh or the rustle of turning pages. We tried to talk, to mend the damage, but every conversation felt like walking on broken glass, each step a potential wound. The intimacy we once shared, the easy camaraderie, the profound connection, seemed to evaporate, replaced by a chilling formality. I saw doubt in his eyes, a question mark hovering over every word I spoke, every action I took. The small lie had metastasized, infecting every corner of our relationship, turning love into suspicion, warmth into coldness. I tried to rebuild, to prove myself worthy of his trust again, but the foundation was gone. The cracks were too deep, the damage too extensive. The vibrant colors of our life together began to fade, replaced by a muted palette of sorrow and unspoken resentment. We were living together, but we were miles apart, two strangers sharing a space, haunted by the ghost of what we once were. The city, once our vibrant playground, now felt like a lonely labyrinth, each street corner a reminder of happier times, each familiar cafe a monument to lost joy. Our friends noticed, of course, the subtle shift in our dynamic, the forced smiles, the lack of genuine connection. They offered advice, tried to mediate, but the wound was too personal, too profound for external intervention. The year 1995 brought with it a sense of inevitability, a quiet resignation that our story, once so full of promise, was slowly drawing to a close. The political landscape was still turbulent, the nation grappling with social changes, but for me, the personal turmoil overshadowed any external events. One crisp autumn morning, as the leaves outside our window turned to gold and crimson, Michael packed his bags. There were no dramatic arguments, no tearful goodbyes, just a quiet acknowledgement of the irreparable damage. He looked at me, his eyes filled with a sadness that mirrored my own, a silent farewell to the love we had lost. "I can't, Clara," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "I just can't." And with that, he walked out of our loft, out of my life, leaving behind an echoing silence and the bitter taste of a truth too late. I stood there, amidst the wreckage of our love, the scent of his cologne still lingering in the air, a phantom embrace. The small lie, born of ambition and a misguided attempt at protection, had indeed created a chasm, a gaping wound that would forever mark the landscape of my heart. The trust, once so absolute, was gone, replaced by the crushing weight of regret. I had learned a painful lesson, one that would stay with me for the rest of my days. Some truths, no matter how small, carry the weight of worlds, and their absence can unravel even the strongest of bonds. The silence in the loft was deafening, a stark contrast to the vibrant life it once held. The sun, usually a welcome visitor, now seemed to mock me with its brightness, highlighting the emptiness. I walked through the rooms, touching familiar objects, each one a relic of a love that had crumbled. His piano, usually a source of soulful melodies, now stood silent, a void that mirrored the one in my chest. The photographs we had taken together, chronicling our journey, now felt like ghosts, smiling back at me from a past that was irrevocably lost. I picked up one, a candid shot of Michael laughing, his head thrown back, his eyes crinkling at the corners. A tear traced a path down my cheek, a testament to the profound loss. The world outside continued its relentless march, unaware of the quiet devastation within these four walls. The city's pulse, once a comforting rhythm, now felt like a distant, indifferent beat. I tried to find solace in my work, burying myself in deadlines and investigations, but the words on the page seemed to blur, my focus fractured by the persistent ache in my heart. The ambition that had fueled my initial deception now felt like a hollow victory, a prize won at an unbearable cost. The years that followed were a slow, arduous journey of self-reflection and healing. I moved out of the Chicago loft, unable to bear the constant reminders, seeking a fresh start in a smaller place downtown. The 1990s gave way to the 2000s, the world transforming around me, but the lesson of that small lie remained etched in my soul. I built a successful career, became a respected graphic designer, but a part of me always remained guarded, hesitant to fully open my heart again. The fear of betrayal, both my own and another's, lingered like a faint scar. I saw Michael once, years later, at a jazz festival in Grant Park. He looked older, his hair flecked with gray, but his eyes still held that familiar spark. He was with another woman, her hand resting gently on his arm, a picture of quiet contentment. Our eyes met across the crowded lawn, a brief, silent acknowledgement of a shared past, a moment pregnant with unspoken history. There was no anger, no resentment, just a profound sense of what could have been, what had been lost. We exchanged polite nods, a superficial gesture that belied the depth of our former connection. He smiled, a gentle, almost sad smile, and then turned back to his companion, disappearing into the throng of music lovers. I watched him go, a pang of bittersweet nostalgia echoing in my chest. The encounter was a stark reminder of the irreversible consequences of that single, seemingly insignificant lie. It wasn't just the trust that was destroyed, it was the entire future we had envisioned, the life we had planned, the family we might have built. The weight of that realization settled upon me, heavy and undeniable. I had sacrificed a profound love for a fleeting professional triumph, a trade-off that, in hindsight, felt deeply unbalanced. The city lights outside the park blurred through a fresh wave of tears, a silent testament to the enduring pain of a broken bond. The night air was cool, a stark contrast to the warmth of the memories that flooded my mind. I walked home, the sounds of the city a distant hum, my thoughts consumed by the echoes of a past that refused to be forgotten. The lie, that small, insidious seed, had grown into a towering wall between us, insurmountable and unyielding. It had taught me that honesty isn't just a virtue, it's the very bedrock of human connection, the invisible thread that binds hearts together. And once that thread is severed, the fabric of a relationship, no matter how strong, begins to fray, unraveling slowly until nothing remains but empty spaces and lingering regrets. I often wonder what our lives would have been like if I had chosen differently, if I had prioritized truth over ambition, if I had trusted him with the full story. Would we still be in that Chicago loft, growing old together, our lives intertwined, our love a testament to enduring honesty? The question hangs in the air unanswered, a perpetual what if that haunts my quieter moments. The years have passed, turning me into the older woman you see today, with lines etched around my eyes that tell tales of joy and sorrow. I've found peace, a measure of contentment, but the memory of Michael and the lie that tore us apart remains a poignant reminder of the fragility of trust. It's a lesson I carry, a cautionary tale whispered to my own heart, about the profound power of truth and the devastating cost of its absence. And sometimes late at night, when the city sleeps and the world is quiet, I still see his face, hear his laugh, and feel the phantom touch of his hand in mine, a love lost to a single small deception. The thought, a chilling realization, still sends shivers down my spine. What other secrets, what other unspoken truths lie buried beneath the surface of our lives, waiting to erupt and shatter the delicate peace we've so carefully constructed? This was another incredible story from our channel. Life teaches us that it's never too late for justice, revenge, or redemption. Every story you heard here is real, experienced by people who found strength when everyone thought they were defeated. If this story moved you, tell us in the comments. What do you think about this situation? Your opinion matters to us. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any of our exciting stories. We have new tales of betrayal, intrigue, and revenge every week. Share this video with someone who needs to know that it's never too late to fight for it properly. Sometimes, the best revenge is living well and showing that it's possible to solve all problems. Thank you for being part of our community. Until the next story, remember, every ending can be a new beginning. See you in the next video.